Good morning, Dr. Kiva.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am sleepy.
Yeah. You know what? I would prefer we leave things alone, you know? So many people enjoy the extra hour of sleep. I can't tell the difference, but you're sleepy.
I'm sleepy. It always affects me.
It's supposed to be the other way around, though. You're supposed to have gotten an extra hour of sleep, so they say.
I don't know what, and my mother always knows it. It always affects me every time. It takes me, I'm one of those people. It takes a while to get, I don't even think about it.
Right.
Do
you suffer from jet lag when you travel?
No.
That's really interesting. Well, the only time I really love, you sleep on the plane.
Before it even takes off, I go to sleep.
I have a problem falling asleep. You know that. So if I fall asleep on the plane, that is a major accomplishment. But the only time I really enjoy this time of year is when I partied. So we get to keep an extra hour of partying, you know.
Now that was the fun part.
Yeah, but I hate
but I don't party now.
Yeah, it's been many years. But, you know, I don't like it getting dark early. That turns me off. It really does. So I rather, and, you know, my question is, would you rather have an extra hour of daylight or would you rather have an extra hour of sleep?
I never thought about it because I guess it doesn't. Yeah, because usually I work out in the morning.
Okay.
And so
really
I
early.
Base it, yeah. So it depends on if it's in the summer and it's too hot. That means I'm going to go out at 5:30 because the sun is out too bright. So you know, so that's how I kind of say, okay, this is how I'm basing when I'm gonna go to.
So did you go to bed at your normal time last night?
I didn't even look at the clock. I think I just.
So you just automatically go to sleep. I get sleepy when your body tells you when it's time to go to sleep.
My body says it's time to sleep. I'm like, okay.
Did you get up before you had to this morning?
I did.
That's the problem. You don't need to get up until. Do you have to get up that early? What, 5:30?
It's a habit now. My eyes just open at 5.
All right, well.
I'm like, okay.
We're going to pump you up with some caffeine this morning. Speaking of caffeine. It's not caffeine, but let me tell you, I missed your birthday a couple of weeks ago. So happy birthday.
Oh, well,
you are the very first recipient of my brand new tea.
Oh, no.
Now, you might not need it, but remember, even though it's called Menopause Relief, it's really chill tea, okay? It's got all the ingredients to chill you out. Absolutely. And yeah, like you need to be chill anymore.
So when do I drink this?
You can drink it all day, all night, but don't drink during the show because you might fall asleep.
Okay, I'll drink it before I go to sleep and see if it'll help me to sleep even better.
Please do. Please
I'll
do.
Keep you posted.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
You are very welcome. It's been a long time coming. You know, it's the concept came in the winter, and it took all summer to get it right. So let me know what you think.
I appreciate that.
Very welcome.
So interesting enough. So this weekend, I had to work.
Okay.
You know, and I was driving home from the clinic yesterday, and I saw all these trucks with Trump flags, and it was like a big parade.
Right.
And so I was like, what was that about? And you were telling me something about these Trump trucks.
Oh, man. Okay, so it's been all over the news. And I know you don't watch TV, so I respect that.
That's why I have you.
But it has, you got me. I got you covered. Plastered all over the news.
Right.
And actually, Saturday, I think Jeff called and said, hey, it's Biden in town. There's a big, huge Biden truck here.
Right.
He was there. Their bus was in Missouri City. Did you know that?
Oh, no. Because
I think Kamala was in town.
Yes,
she did
speak in Houston. Didn't she go to U of H or something?
Yeah.
Or supposed to?
She was there because Common was there. And so I saw him perform, and then I saw her come on stage afterwards.
Right.
But what happened was the bus was I think they were on their way from Houston to San Marcos. And all of a sudden they were surrounded by all of the Trump train. It's called the Trump train.
Oh, okay.
And it's all of these trucks that have huge Trump flags flying, few American flags flying, because some people think, you know, they go hand in hand, but I'm not going to go there. And so they surrounded the bus, forced it to slow down. The story is they tried to run it off the road.
Whoa.
Now, I saw that one of the trucks pushed one of the vehicles that was traveling with the bus. You could see them, they made impact. What did your president do? He retweets the video with big caps saying, I love Texas. So he's okay with that. So what happened was they had to cancel that pit stop. So basically, they impacted their campaign.
Didn't that happen somewhere in New York also?
They stopped the bridge. Yeah, they shut down one of those major bridges.
I mean, they are organized.
Well, they're very organized. They're very motivated. So we did a whole lot of shopping this weekend because we don't plan on leaving the house for a while. You just don't know what's going to happen.
You sound like my mother. She's like, do you have to go to work Wednesday? I was like,
a whole lot of people need to call in sick or telework or something.
It's kind of scary because you don't, but even, I don't think Wednesday would be an issue because the election probably, I don't know if it would be for sure decided by Wednesday.
Well, his plan is, and it was leaked from his inner circle, that if he looks like he's ahead, he's just going to claim victory. And one of the pundits said, that's like saying you bought a lottery ticket and I'm just going to go shopping, just saying, hey, I won the lottery and I'm going to go shopping. So just because he claims victory does not make it so. Yes. Thank God. Okay. So, you know, you're right. It's probably going to be Friday. What happens normally on election night is it's projected. Mm-hmm. So if it's a landslide, it'll be easy to project. Okay. If it's not, he figures that most of his voters are going to vote in person. We already know the early ballots were probably primarily Democratic, the mail-ins. So they'll be counted after. And that's why he's saying, oh, probably I'll be ahead. And then I can go ahead and claim it. So it's
this is a different world.
It's a lot.
It's a different world.
He plans on already having his attorneys, contest it no matter what. It's been crazy.
And so with all the stuff going on, it's just for them to be so supportive with all the stuff that obviously with COVID, because we're still dealing with COVID. We're in the middle of that still.
It's really, it is blowing up. It really is. And then to be insulting the doctors saying, hey, they're all calling it COVID so they could get paid. Doctor saved his life. If he had it, they saved his life. Okay, so that's just like slapping the hand that feeds you. It's really, really interesting. But COVID has caused a lot of problems throughout the year, throughout the world. Yes. And one of them, I love that what we're going to talk about today because it's very crucial. We know there's been a massive uptick in domestic violence.
Yes.
People being stuck in the house together, people being frustrated because they lost their job. My heart goes out to children because I grew up in that environment, so I know how horrible it could be. Mm-hmm. So our guest today is going to be massive. I think.
Because even with focusing on people being at home and with the abuse, it's alcoholism, depression. Right. There's so many other things that are on top of that. Drug addiction, and then with the and then if you're already an abusive parent and a person, you're at home and so it's just so many things. Absolutely. That's a lot going on.
I think a lot of teachers actually have witnessed it. It's like the parents forget that their kid is on TV or doing it on the phone, and things are going on. One teacher, if I'm not mistaken, witnessed a man. Did he kill his wife while the kid was on? And they called the cops. I think we'll find out about that. I'm not positive, but I think that was one of the stories I read throughout the year. So
because I had one patient and she was a sociologist maybe, and she was like, she's busy. Oh, everything is on Zoom, but she's like, I can't even take any more clients.
Oh my God.
So we'll be able to talk to our guest, and she'll educate us on all the things that are going on in that what we say, not community. What in that situation.
That situation.
Yeah, so she'll be able to come and talk to us about it. It should be very interesting.
Yeah, and what I'm really hoping is that anyone who's watching, and I hope I've really encouraged people to tell somebody in your life who's dealing with this to listen so you can learn because today's show is about empowerment and how to get out of it. You don't have to live that way. So we're hoping that
there's always hope.
There's always, God willing. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a horrific environment to be in.
So we're going to take a short break and bring back our guest to learn.
Yes.
To educate us, to give us hope.
Yes. And to give us tools and resources. And her name is Attorney Carvana Cloud.
Isn't that such a cool name?
I love it.
Attorney Cloud.
I know. That is very, she should be in showbiz. But she's better off doing what she's doing, her civic duty.
Yeah, but that's still a cool name.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, guys, so we'll be right back. Give us a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back with Ms. Cloud.
Every sports fan knows that the last few minutes can change the game. Texas has had record voter turnout, but it's not over yet. Voting is not a spectator sport. You have the power to change the game. We need everyone to get off the bench and get involved. We can't afford 4 more years of this administration. Get out and vote this Tuesday, November 3rd. Paid for by Texas Black Democratic PAC. We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we are back this Monday morning, the day before Election Day. If you haven't voted, get your butts out there because it's too late to mail it in. However, we are very excited to have our wonderful guest, Ms. Carvana Cloud. And welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Boy, y'all really know how to make a girl feel comfortable.
Well, we're super excited because we know that there's so much involved with this virus. Beyond being sick, there are so many other extenuating circumstances.
Absolutely.
And that's where you come in. Please tell us about both of your programs.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for having the vision to have an empowerment segment, right? That is so important. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, yes, but we're also in the middle of the greatest, I think, extension of the civil rights movement that we've seen since the 60s, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So as we're talking about, obviously, domestic violence, which, obviously can be, a symptom of social ills and the lack of resources in our community, we're also going to talk a little bit about the importance of voting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're trying to go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
You are protected might have a lot to do with who's in office.
Absolutely. So let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Yes, please.
To answer your question that you first asked. So my name is Carvana Cloud, and I'm born and raised here, right here in Houston, Texas. I'm from Acres Homes, the full folk. So I proudly represent my neighborhood. I love it. I got a scholarship to go to the Kincaid School. So imagine every day leaving Acres Homes, going to Kincaid, coming back home.
Checking those classmates probably had to check them
all day, every day. I'm sure. All day. They remember me now for that, and they appreciate that. Yeah, it was a very exciting life, a very interesting childhood. So I really know the best of both worlds.
Right.
And one of the things that I asked God when I was asking him what is it that he wanted me to do in my life, and he says, you know what, you have an incredible ability to be able to connect with all people. So I want you to take care of my people and do it where it's not just you, but you're bringing people together in a collaborative way. So, I started off my career as a prosecutor with the Harris County DA's office. Very exciting. And I left there and I started my own firm, the Cloud Law Firm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in 2009. And I just had a baby. And so I decided to have a baby, start a new firm. Wow. You'll see that that's a theme with me.
Right?
How we are. We were talking earlier.
That challenge, right?
We love that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I had that firm for about 7 years. And then I went back to the DA's office where I led the Family Violence Division. And was able to really delve into some of the systemic issues we had in our community regarding family violence.
That opened your eyes big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be a line prosecutor, but it's another thing to be an executive prosecutor. Exactly. And to be able to provide leadership and some real innovative solutions to deal with this awful epidemic that we have nationwide, but particularly in the state of Texas and even more particularly in Harris County.
And so then you got that divine intervention to say, hey, go down this road. I want
you. I listen to God, and I make some decisions sometimes that a lot of people don't understand. But I know where it's coming from. I'm a woman of faith, and in October of last year, I actually left the DA's office and actually ran for DA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I put my name on the ticket.
Phenomenal.
No, well, thank you.
Especially because of this situation, because of this issue, we need someone
and
with
your
empathy.
passion, right? Sure.
Yeah.
And I was actually I was the first candidate to make domestic violence a platform of my campaign.
For that.
Because why are we not talking? Why are candidates not talking more about interpersonal violence?
It's the dirty little secret too.
That's it, doctor.
That's it.
That's it, Dr. K. Absolutely.
Because many of our officials are perpetrators. And we find that out.
Or how they view women.
There we go. Oh, absolutely.
And we know domestic violence affects men, women, members of the LGBTQ community. But let's just be real here, which is what I am. Women of color are disproportionately impacted.
Absolutely.
So that's because Black women.
They're ignored.
They're ignored.
They are not taken seriously.
That's right.
They go in for an order of protection and probably don't get it all the time.
They don't get it all the time. And a lot of times, I will say this, the DA's office for years has done a great job with providing protective orders. But if you don't know that a protective order exists, or if you don't know that they offer it or how to get it, then you're going to suffer in silence and not even avail yourself of these resources. And that's where I come in, because we have to get the word out to the masses. That means we've got to be in the streets. We've got to be at the churches. We've got to be at the dollar stores. We've got to be at the beauty salons. That's what we do with the Empowered Survivor. We take a grassroots approach to making sure our brothers and sisters in our communities of color understand the resources. Who cares about all these legal terms and all of that if you don't understand them and don't know how to really, again, avail yourselves of the resources. So we take it to the people. We don't wait till the people come to us.
So I'm curious about this though. So in today's climate with the police, how many women are like, well, I don't want, especially women of color, I don't want him to get in trouble because I see what ultimately happened when the police come, so how many do you think that's causing some of?
Absolutely.
Even maybe before this.
Listen, before. Even before. We did a survey this summer. It was called COVID and the Black Survivor. COVID and the Black Survivor. Goodness. It was sponsored by the Texas Council on Family Violence. I called them and I said, we did a lot of work together with, systems-based things, but I really want to do a cultural dive. I want you all to support us as we take this leap. And we did that survey, and from May to August, us. 306 folks responded. And they mentioned that they did not call law enforcement because they were terrified as to what might happen either to that abuser or them. Because there's a distrust of law enforcement in communities of color.
It went from one extreme to the other.
That's it.
When I was little, I lived that life. Okay, my dad, God rest his soul, was an alcoholic, and he was extremely abusive. And when the cops did, the rare times that we did have the cops come, they would just take him outside and say, "Hey man, just go cool off." He wouldn't do a daggone thing. He never once went to jail. You know, and so it went from one extreme to now they might kill you as soon as they walk up to the door. So there's no, where's the happy medium?
You know, I think one of the things that I'm the most proud of is working with police officers, especially the Houston Police Department, to deal with that issue. Because Robin, you and I grew up very much alike.
Yeah.
And my mom is just an angel for allowing me to be able to use our story. My dad has passed on, may he rest in peace, but he was an alcoholic as well. Okay. And my mother is extremely passionate about using our story to be able to help somebody else move forward, because so many of us deal with that. Yeah. So I grew up in a house where domestic violence was present. One of the things that I did was I created the Domestic Abuse Response Team. That is a crisis response team in collaboration with the Houston Police Department, where police officers and advocates are now paired in a team, and they are the ones that respond to domestic violence calls. So now you have a social worker there with the police officer.
This is all they've been asking for in the first place. That is what defunding the police means.
But now on the flip end of that, I had a friend, male friend, who was dating a female, and she was, just kind of stalkerish.
Yes.
He would say, "Well, I'm gonna go," and she would just force herself to go get into his car. And so when the police was called, they took him to jail.
I know it.
They didn't even. And it was like they didn't even. So it's like.
Heartbreaking.
They do need that other person to make sense of what's going on.
And so again, another part of that DART program is we train on how women can be abusers just as men. So our officers are now being able to see and understand that it goes both ways. And literally it's been because we've been walking hand in hand, not pointing any fingers, but sitting down and figuring out all of our challenges. Because listen, Sergeant Preston, may he rest in peace, we laid him to rest last week. He was killed in a domestic violence homicide last week as he was responding to a domestic violence call. The woman was trying to move forward, get her things, and leave. As he was assisting her in doing that, the perpetrator killed him and actually shot the 14-year-old son, his oon son.
Did he kill him?
He did not kill him.
I did not know that.
No,
story.
He did not kill him. I represent that family. One of the things that is very important is that once people don't realize, even when law enforcement is involved, that person is arrested or taken into custody, that's just one piece. But these families have to put their lives back together. And they often don't know how to get a divorce or how to pay for it or what we can do if they're undocumented. They don't know all of their options. So our firm also steps in to support those survivors and the next of kins of those folks who have lost loved ones to family violence, so they can begin to heal, whether that's grief therapy, counseling, or whatever. Listen, we across the board. We deal with it from the beginning to the end, understanding that, again, not all people are going to call law enforcement, and we know why. So that's why we created DART. But for those people who still don't call law enforcement, we're doing the grassroots activism in communities of color, especially Black and Latinx communities. I'm bilingual in Spanish, and so I'm very proud to lead that effort as well. Muy bien,
gracias. She's gonna make us step up our game.
As she's talking, I'm like, we need to clone you all around the country.
But now, so let's step back for just a moment. So you still practice law and you have nonprofit organization, or what exactly are you? Because when you said DART, it's like, okay. And then you're like, I'm still representing.
So absolutely. Still doing both. So I own I own the Cloud Law Firm. So once I did not win that primary for DA, I opened my law firm back up, and I also started a nonprofit. And that the law firm now specifically provides the legal advocacy and services for those survivors and clients that come to us through the law through the nonprofit. Listen, it's just really just being thoughtful and mindful about how you can use and leverage your resources. So many nonprofits exist in this space.
Right.
But one of the biggest challenges is resources.
Right.
So we're all kind of competing and fighting for the same resources. So I thought it was important, especially to support nonprofits that are led by Black women and people of color who are in this space.
Absolutely.
So whatever resources that we're able to get, we love to share that because we can't do all of this work by ourselves.
What does DART stand for?
The Domestic Abuse Response Team.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually I will give credit. Los Angeles started that program, but I brought it to Harris County in 2017 and we changed it and added a forensic component. And it's, it's the best of what we call relational policing. You said earlier, people say defund the police.
They don't understand what.
They don't understand what it means. The term is awful.
Just like Black Lives Matter. It should be Black Lives Matter too. Black Lives Matter also. And then it would shut people down. Because people don't try to think beyond the obvious. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now, is the program you're discussing now, because you have two different programs, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have the Empowered Survivor. Okay, so the Empowered Survivor. Yes. Okay. So the name of our nonprofit is the Empowered Survivor.
Okay.
So on top of the Cloud Law Firm, the actual nonprofit we have is the Empowered Survivor. And that's the program that all of those, the DART program, the grassroots, that's what it operates under. Okay. And we provide resources. And so if anybody is experiencing domestic violence, obviously we always tell people to call 911, especially because it can be very dangerous. Absolutely. We're not trying to stand in the way of what the police officers are trained to do as far as protect and serve. But know that when you call, we're there. Right?
That's fantastic.
I think that's a very reassuring feeling. You're going to find somebody more than likely that looks just like you.
Yeah. Is there a way to make that mandatory whenever there's a domestic violence call to the police?
Well, right now HPD is. HPD, they call for the DART teams. It's very new.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's a very new mandatory approach. But again, shout out to Chief Art Acevedo, Executive Assistant Chief Finner, Lieutenant Julie Pleasant for really making this a priority.
Yeah, because we had a councilman who talked about those 25 points.
Yes, and that
I think that was one of them also.
Is a friend of the show.
Oh, sure, he's a friend of mine also. Yes, he's wonderful.
Because you two are very much alike. You're about getting your hands dirty and getting in there and doing something that's acting real, for real.
Social justice is not a spectator sport.
No, it's not.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a short break.
Yeah.
And because I want to be able to unpack, like, say I'm in a situation, the police come, what are the steps that happen, and what do I think about shelter, and how does that work with working with your organization?
That'd be awesome.
Cool. So we'll take a short break and come back to How You Livin' so we can find out more on this really interesting subject.
Right back.
Every sports fan knows that the last few minutes can change the game. Texas has had record voter turnout, but it's not over yet. Voting is not a spectator sport. You have the power to change the game. We need everyone to get off the bench and get involved. We can't afford 4 more years of this administration. Get out and vote this Tuesday, November 3rd. Paid for by Texas Black Democratic PAC.
And welcome back to How You Livin'. And so today we have attorney Parvena Cloud, which is such a cool name. I'm sorry, still a cool name. So and we're talking about domestic violence and how it's increased with COVID.
Yes.
So what are the steps? Because I know you are an attorney and you'll help to represent, and you have the DARD program. So if I have some issues and I contact you and say, well, hey, I'm in a situation. What are the steps that happens?
Well, first off, we take your information over the phone. First of all, we ask if you're in a safe place, because we never want people to give out information when the abuser's around or they're not safe. Then we begin to take some general information so we can assess exactly what you need at that moment. And we understand that everybody needs something different.
Right.
Somebody may need shelter. Somebody might need counseling. Somebody might need financial assistance. So we gather all of that information, and then we assign you a caseworker who then works with you to develop a safety plan. An individualized safety plan. We call them in our shop your own personalized power plan, because we're helping survivors find the power in their pain. And understanding that it starts from the beginning, but it's a journey. So we are not in the business of warehousing folks in shelters,
right,
but we offer housing opportunities, but we do it with supportive services so they can become more independent throughout their journey, however long it takes, understanding that everybody's in a different space.
Yeah, because I think I would probably be concerned about him finding me.
Yes, that's a reality.
And that's always been, is always
we make sure the location services are off on the phone. The location settings are off on the phone. If he owns the phone, we provide them new phones, or if the perpetrator, I should say, we provide them new phones, and all of the housing is undisclosed and nobody knows where that is.
And so that's when you partner up with other organizations?
We have our own housing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have our own housing. I'm so excited about that.
So do you have enough people to help? Because I'm already thinking how I can volunteer.
Yes, please. We need more volunteers.
Volunteers are
always.
Because I'm like, do you need more manpower?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be wonderful. I mean, as a new nonprofit, it's always hard getting started, but God has been very gracious to us. And we've partnered with groups like the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council and the Houston Area Women's Center. They provide us dollars to be able to have these facilities. And when we don't have space or we're at capacity, we do reach out to each other. That's the beauty of our organizations here in Harris County. Yeah.
So how has the COVID, have you noticed an economic impact based on what's going on?
Absolutely. I think the number one reason that domestic violence has really increased as a result of COVID is because of the economic uncertainty and the financial stressors that are going on in families' homes. Folks have lost their jobs, or their income has been decreased. And so tensions. And if you're being evicted and the lights are off, guess what? It's going to be stress in the house.
Exactly.
And it's not a justification of violence by any sort, but it's the reality of what we're seeing. Absolutely. And so not only the number of calls up, but the severity of the violence, unfortunately.
And then it's interesting because you guys mentioned alcoholism.
Yes.
And so I would imagine, you're not working, you're at home, you're depressed, you're numbing the pain. And so I would imagine that that's just
absolutely
a soup of.
That's a rageaholic situation.
Alcoholism, substance abuse. I mean, even those of us who have very healthy relationships are feeling kind of down because COVID is this isolation that we're I can't go out and hang out with my friends. My sister, for example, is on the heart transplant list. As much as I'm out in these streets, I can't be around her.
Exactly.
And I miss her, right? And other folks are experiencing that type of depression and loneliness.
You don't even know that you are depressed.
Right.
It's like, why am I just sad?
Yes.
I don't know.
And it's pajamas.
I know. And I haven't put on any clothes.
I have a good friend that works for a local brewery company, and he's a VP over there, and he's like, during COVID we made our money. We didn't lose money during this time. Our sales went up. And so, so with the holidays, like we were saying, with Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's,
the sales are going to increase.
So have you noticed during the holidays, just in general?
Oh, in general, even before COVID, during the summer and holidays.
This
we can strategically pinpoint when we see our increases, and that's really good, so we can make sure we have enough resources to combat it and be ready to prevent it. Domestic violence homicides are so predictable as to be preventable. And when you're able to do that, you really can truly save lives.
I think what murder is the number one reason for pregnant women's death. That's number one is murder.
Yes. Oh yes, for pregnant women.
Oh yeah. You're so needed out here.
Now, so the other thing is, when say I'm a teacher and I notice it's with a student.
Yes.
But now I'm not seeing my students because they're not in class, but do you get involved in that aspect also at that point?
So a lot of times what happens is we end up representing the teachers are mandatory reporters. So they have to report that to CPS or what have you. So mom, who's the victim, a lot of times will come to us and say, oh my God, CPS is trying to take my kids. They're not always trying to take their kids, but they're responding to a referral that was made. So we step in and we represent them through that process, because that is a daunting, scary process to think that somebody's going to take your kids, especially when you're blaming yourself almost for not leaving him or for not leaving her in the first place, right? And so we walk with them through that process. And I'm telling you, it's extremely rewarding. And when we show up, because it's been something new, a lot of folks don't have an attorney. CPS is like, wait, what's going on? I'm like, hey, we're just here. We're doing our job. We're an advocate.
But look at the new experience that teachers have now, that they are witnessing.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that the case, that they're witnessing the abuse take place while the kid is in class? Or their poor child is trying to take class online?
There have been several situations that we know of. I don't have any personally that I represent, but nationally and even across the state, there have been several situations where teachers have had to report because they've witnessed abuse on these cameras as these kids are in virtual learning.
That could be a hidden, because a lot of kids come to school, you don't know they're being abused,
Well, and they're told not to say anything and to be quiet and all that.
You have no idea, but when the parents, sometimes the parents, all right, this is completely off, but I'm weird like that. Did you all see the video on Facebook where the mother, I don't know if it was the mother or grandmother, she forgot the kid was in class and she's behind him butt naked.
Oh my goodness.
And the teacher's like, Trayvon, turn your camera. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but it was so funny. But poor Trayvon.
Poor Trayvon.
I know, he had to deal with that for the rest.
Trayvon was just trying to get his lesson.
So the parents forget the camera's on and they're doing things that they normally do.
I know.
I'm sorry, that's just a moment of crazy.
And and it's so sad because some of the foundation of it all is if you're the breadwinner in depression.
Yeah.
And so do you guys ever come in like, okay, well, we see that this is a domestic problem, but the perpetrator also is having some depression. Do you ever help with the perpetrator, or is it like, okay, you just...
I am so glad you brought that up. I mean, I am a huge proponent. It's a great question of what we call restorative justice and understanding, and a lot of people are like, well, law enforcement should come, they should put them in jail and that's it. You got to dig deeper and address the root causes of this violence and what's causing that perpetrator to do that. We are moving into that space, but we're firming up our victim response, but we are definitely open to and working on how we create that for perpetrators, especially those who are on a misdemeanor level and they didn't involve a weapon or they're not as violent. I mean, because there's levels to this.
Right.
Yeah.
And most times they say hurt people.
That's right.
So if you're a domestic abuser, that's probably because you have an under.
Right. And another reason that we do it is because a lot of our clients want to get back with these folks. The heart loves who the heart loves. So we had to figure out how to make these relationships healthier.
Hurt people want to go to her.
Yeah, they do. And they want to heal because that is a natural. Unfortunately, women, we believe we can fix it.
Of course we
can fix it. We feel sorry. We know they love us, but we just feel sorry for them.
Yeah. And so that's why I would imagine that it's even higher in the African American community because of feeling like you're trying to work, you're trying to do this, everything is just building upon you.
That's right.
You start to get a record, then you can't work, and
so I can see how that
absolutely all of that.
Yeah,
they don't want him to go to jail.
They will not want him to go to jail.
And divorce in our community is frowned upon. Yeah. My mother was told not to divorce my father. Just figure it out, make it work, pray it away.
That is
and a lot of
the
women
pastors will tell you that.
Yes, they will. Well, that's why also we've gotten with a lot of first ladies. around town and have a First Ladies Initiative.
Okay, do tell.
Yes, our First Ladies Initiative. I'm so excited to have these First Ladies on board because we know a lot of folks go to the pastors and their wives to talk about these issues.
And the First Ladies should be
involved. And they are involved. And then we strategically chose First Ladies who have hearts for these types of issues and in neighborhoods where we know the domestic violence is the highest.
So you've covered many bases. You're thinking way outside the box.
Yeah.
And that is phenomenal.
Well, it's what we need to do in order to keep people safe. Of course. And to really reduce the number of domestic violence homicides. In 2019, 185 Texans lost their lives to domestic violence. And that was 40 more than the year before.
So what's 2020 look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is there any, like, so say this layman person, like, well, what signs can I tell if there's something going on? So what signs should we look for?
So I think signs, the top signs are like isolation, keeping the victim away from their family and friends, not letting them use the telephone or email or things like that, or monitoring their messages. Not always will there be visible bruises present because perpetrators are smart. But if they've become withdrawn or isolated, or sometimes the children may blurt out some things at school that you don't even realize. They don't think because they've been told not to say anything, but they may say something to their teachers or their counselors. That's something as well. I think missed work. A lot of folks just all of a sudden miss work. So absences, or if they're showing up late, or if they're just feeling withdrawn and not being productive at work, for example. Those are some signs that we should really look at and ask more questions, or refer that person to their HR department or an agency like ours to get some more help. You don't have to wait till the gun is at their head before you say, hey, here's where you go to get help.
So if someone is ready to leave their situation, what's the first step you recommend?
I call our agency. Our number.
Yes.
Well, we just said a couple of times.
Okay. The Empowered Survivor can be reached at 281-406-3417. Again, 281-406-3417. You can also find us on our website at www.empoweredsurvivors.org. We're on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We're about to get on everybody's nerves because that's what's required.
Because it's so hard to imagine that trapped feeling that you would have. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. How it would just break you down after a while, you know?
It could, in some people, feel like they don't have any other option. Some people feel like they either have to stay or they have to leave, or they'll just die.
Okay, so now here's this. Is this part of human trafficking also, since that's
very good.
So how does that?
So I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the things that I'm really passionate about is making sure that we're dealing with what we call interpersonal violence. I know we talk about domestic violence, and then we know about sexual abuse, and then trafficking. You know, that's been set up in a siloed manner like that for funding purposes. But it really waters down the responses and the effects, because a lot of folks who have been trafficked have also been victims of domestic violence, whether either when they were children or within their own relationships, and vice versa. So we go between all three of those areas, and we have professionals to help our clients. So we make sure that everybody who's experiencing some type of interpersonal violence, either domestic violence, sexual violence, or trafficking, we got your back. You don't need to go to 3 different agencies to get the help.
It's almost like you got to be in every community, you know, in Houston with representation.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. That's right.
Wow.
And that's important, because you need to have what we call cultural competent advocacy. It's much easier for a Black woman to talk to me than it is for somebody to talk to a white woman, for example, about this. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of growth really quickly in our organization, because I tell people all the time, I'm unapologetically Black in this space.
Yeah, you really are. Now, how long has this your program? Because I do too. You're like our hero, and you will be a regular if you're okay.
I am so okay.
We're going to have the Carvana segment.
The cloud.
Carvana,
the cloud.
The cloud. Yeah, we're going to have the cloud. I love it. You are definitely welcome.
Thank you.
Because the more we get this out there, the more lives that could be saved.
That's right.
Well, because it was so surprising, I had to take some education hours for human trafficking as a chiro, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize that it was You know, that's why.
Oh, it's very prevalent in Houston.
Oh, it's
Especially
so prevalent.
with people saying, well, you can come work for me, and they don't pay them, and then they can get abused in that situation. And they don't have their cars.
So sex trafficking, labor trafficking.
Like nail places.
Absolutely.
I can tell. I promise you. I've been to nail places where you could tell they were victims of trafficking. You could just feel the oppression. You know,
and so that's when you need to have someone represent that community to say, come in and speak to them so they can feel comfortable speaking to that person.
And I'm very proud to say that Houston and Harris County has, groups like DAIA, the Anissa Hope Center that support our South Asian populations, Casa Juan Diego for the Hispanic community, the Empowered Survivor now for the African American community, Fresh Spirit Wellness, Dr. Conti Terrell, who before I even started this, she was very active in this space, Black female. But I think now it's time, now more than ever, we have an opportunity to really amplify the work of these amazing organizations to reach the people that need the help the most.
Do you also have some sort of literature, like have booklets that we can give out?
Yes, we do, and we'll make sure we get you some of that.
Be involved.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Before we run out of time, what are all your social media, websites?
Awesome. So social media, you can find us at Empowered Survivor. On Twitter, it is Cloud for Texas. Okay. On Instagram, it's Cloud for Texas.
Right on.
And I
know how to rock that name. Okay.
We want Cloud to be a household name.
Right.
That's right.
We're going to help.
Well, at the end of the day, we are about protecting the people. That I love being called the people's protector. There is no other title I enjoy more than being able to help amplify the voices of those who have been so unheard for so long. And that really, I want to segue real quickly. I know we have to go.
No, please.
But this morning, I'm also the director of voter protection for the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats.
We definitely need to talk about that.
Yes.
The suppression situation.
And on this election eve, I'm so proud that this morning we filed, and actually it's being heard right now in federal court, we filed an amicus brief in support of Chris Hollins, our amazing county clerk, saying, y'all, you are not going to throw out those 26,000 ballots for drive-through voting. We stepped in again. Democracy is not a spectator sport. So you have to get in there and fight and explain why African Americans are so at a higher risk. They're already being hit. We're already being hit harder with COVID. And then so a lot of us have requested absentee ballots and have used the drive-through voting polling locations that were also available to us in the runoff in July. But now all of a sudden they're illegal. So they were good in July, but now they're not.
So hopefully we'll win in the federal
I am
level.
very hopeful that we will.
And it sounds like we will, because there was a Republican that said, hey, if they follow the law, we're going to win. That you guys are going to win. Yeah. We need your contact information one more time.
Absolutely. 281. Our number is 281-406-3417. 281-406-3417. Do not hesitate to call if you are experiencing any type of domestic violence, sexual violence, or trafficking situation. We are here to help. You are not alone. We got your back.
That's right. Help is here. We want to thank you so much, Carvana. You are a joy and a powerhouse.
We almost need her for 5 hours.
We're going to see you next month.
Yes.
Please make room
Absolutely.
for us. You let us know.
Yeah, we'll work around you.
You'll work around you.
It's a deal. Let's do this.
This is intervention.
Wow, she's I'm normally chill. She's
never
my caffeine.
Sister girl is fired
up. Man,
that says a lot.
I did a good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we don't want to leave, but we're being forced to get off the air. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Please let someone know who's suffering right now or who may be in a situation. Help is here. Okay.
Help is here.
Next week we're going to look for something more. We'll see what goes on after the election. Okay.
Yes.
So next week's going to be an interesting.
I know. Stay prayed up.
Stay prayed up.
We'll be here next Friday. Let's pray up tonight, everybody. Okay. Yes. In the meantime, we got to ask, how you living? Bye-bye.
Bye.